Doom ea gerunter, little doom clause. All these things. We could say were being done. Doom is going to let its tense rely on the main clause. So present tense means the same time as the main clause, and we're going to see that that's, I believe, going to be a past tense. So while these things were being done, legione, ablative, with a legion, ex consuetudine, with one legion, as usual, having been sent, frumentatum. Whoa, this is an accusative supine. It's the fourth principal part. It looks like it could be just a perfect passive participle, but there's no neuter singular or masculine accusative singular noun for it to be describing, so it must be an accusative supine, and accusative supines, as opposed to their friend the ablative supine, I don't know why I'm bothering to write it, just mean they express purpose. Accusative supine is the shortest way to express purpose. It's like us saying to run. Like I came here to learn Latin. It's the easiest way to do it. So frumentatum, we should also notice, isn't frumentum. So that's also the other way that we know it's an accusative supine. The verb it might be deponent, frumentor. Yeah, it is deponent. So to gather grain. With one legion, as usual, having been misad to frumentatum, to get corn, right? This whole thing was an ablative absolute. Qua appellabater septem, which was appellabatered the seventh legio. Okay. Neque ulla ad id tempus belli suspicione interposita. Again, since I've got interposita, which is definitely a perfect passive participle, this is probably continuing my ablative absolute. And right, with no other suspicione, which has a genitive next to it, of belly, having been interposited ad id tempus. Cum clause, cum, pars hominum, subject nominative with a genitive right next to it, part of the hominum. In agris remaneret. So when part of the hominum were remanereting in the agris, I guess I have to continue it. Also, pars were when tareting in castra. So when one part was doing something and another part was doing something else. EE, which is EE equals AE. Aequi, those who. Relative clause. Pro portis castrorum in statione erant. And since we don't have a nominative after it, I'm just going to end it at erant. And since I didn't put it it's not in the subordinate clause, hey, it looks like my main subject. Those who pro portis castrorum in statione erant. Those who blah blah blah, what did those do? They nuntiaverunt ad Caesari. It needs to set us up for an indirect statement. So, they announced to Caesar what? That an accusative, pulverum maiorum quam consuet pseudo, and it doesn't end at ferret. It ends in an infinitive, right? So we need to go all the way to videri. So they announced to Caesari that a pulverum maiorum quam consuet pseudo ferret. The pulverum is it's the accusative in my indirect statement, so it's it's my subject, and then my verb is videri, and then my subject has a little relative clause describing it inside of my indirect statement, but the whole thing is an indirect statement. So that a poem was seen in ea parte, and this is where parte means direction, like it did way back in book 1, was seen in the parte, in the direction, quam in partem legio iter fecisse, in the direction, which direction? Into which direction the legio had fecissed an iter. Okay. Cool. Caesar, subject. Id quod, right, that which erat suspicatus. Aliquid novi a barbaris initum concilii. Our aliquid novi would normally mean something new. With our partitive genitive that we reviewed the other day. But it's going to go with concilii as well. So like, instead of just something new, some new concilii. I should have, sorry. Initum, short for initum esse, because I guess I should technically extend this. Caesar, that which he had suspicatus, is going to take an indirect statement, which he had suspected, namely that aliquid novi concilii had been initumed by the barbariis. Cohortes look like they're my direct objects. I need to think about this for a second. Yeah. It's just tricky because the id is kind of weird to explain. Caesar, having suspected that, Caesar had suspected, Caesar, that which he had suspected. No, I guess maybe because, Caesar, suspicatus describing Caesar, having suspected that which was going on, I guess is the best way to do it. So this whole thing, technically, is a participial phrase describing Caesar, having suspected that which was going on. So participial phrase describing him. Caesar, having suspected that which was going on, namely, that some new concilium had been initumed by the barbaris, and that was an indirect statement. So having suspected all of that, what did Caesar do? Cohortes quae in statione erant, secum in eam partem proficisci. That's an infinitive, that's not the thing that he did. Ex reliquis duas in stationem secere, that's another infinitive. Reliquas armari et confestim, and I'm like, why are these infinitives here? Se subsequi, another one. And then finally I find out why those infinitives are there. He usited. Okay. Caesar usited the cohortes quae in statione erant. What did he usit the cohortes to do? Right? He usited the cohortes to proficisci with him into eam partem, into that direction, right? Ex reliquis, he usited duas, or he usited duas ex reliquis to do what? To secedere into stationem, and he usited the reliquas, the remaining ones, to do what? To be armaried and to subsequi confestim sese. Cool. Caesar makes things happen. Cum clause. Cum Paulo Longius a castris processit. Suos looks like it's an object. Ab hostibus premi. Oh, that's an infinitive though, so maybe it's not an object. It's accusative though. Ab hostibus premi. Aquae agri sustenere et conferta legione ex omnibus partibus tela coici anim ad vertit. That's my verb. He anim ad vertit, and he often anim ad vertits things. He noticed that, indirect statement. And the indirect statement has an accusative subject that his guys were being premied ab hostibus, and they were aegre sustaneering something. And with the legione having been or just being conferta ex omnibus partibus, he noticed that tela were being coicied ex omnibus partibus. So he noticed that his guys were being premied in aegre sustanere, and that tela were being coicied ex omnibus partibus, with the legione being conferta. Ablative absolute. Nam, because omni ex reliquis partibus de meso de meso frumento. Ablative absolute. Pars una erat, and then the nominative that goes with it. Erat reliqua. Because una pars, subject. Una pars, reliqua erat is our verb, right? Had been reliquad with the, actually, our ablative absolute includes omni, with all the frumento having been demesoed ex reliquis partibus. I mean, really the whole thing underlined here is the ablative absolute. It just has a prepositional phrase inside of it. With all the frumento having been demesoed ex reliquis partibus, suspicati, participle describing the subject. The hostes, the enemy, having suspicatied. And the last time we had suspicati, it took an indirect statement, having suspected that. So we're going to suspect that one's happening here. The enemy having suspected that, accusative nostros, esse venturos, and so we could maybe end it there, and see how that works. The enemy having suspected that nostros, the subject, that our guys, venturos esse, huc, would venturos huc. Probably it makes sense to throw the noctu into our clause as well. That they would venturos huc noctu. What did the enemy, having suspected that, what did they do? They had delitueranted in Silvis. And then you could say, well, maybe the noctu belongs with what the enemies did. They delitueranted noctu in the Silvis. And you could argue it either way. It does make sense to end your indirect statement at its infinitive and then keep noctu with the rest of the sentence. Tum, dispersos, looks accusative. Depositis armis, looks like an ablative absolute. In mettendo, occupatos, looks like it's going with dispersos, subito adorti. Yeah, they're the objects of adorti. The whole thing is a prepositional phrase. Then, having adortied, our guys, dispersos, with their armies having been depositis, occupatos in their mettendo, with paucis interfectis, ablative absolute. Here's our verb. They perturbaveranted the reliquos, ablative absolute, incertis ordinibus. Simul, and at the same time, equitatu, ablative aquae essetis, not an ablative absolute, some kinds of ablative. With this and with this, our verb. They had circumdederanted our guys with their equitatu and their essetis, so means.